What's she bitching about now? More child support from my son, my kid?
So JD Milo basically exposed himself in the last couple videos. For one, I mean, he's dressed up in a clown because he is a clown. He's got a father wound. His mother was a drug addict. I guess I just found out somebody accused him of being a drug addict too. And the mother being mentally ill. He admitted his own mother's mentally ill, and he said, yeah, this is part of his therapy or backlash against the mother or whatever, against the father. But here's the thing. Everything that he's doing, we already do in society. We already beat up on men. And he's acting like he's doing something new because it's new to him, and he has a scapegoat, this place where he can vent with his father wound and try and fix what caused him to turn into a fruity feminine diva that he is. What he's doing, this is actually what JD Milo is doing. There's now a backlash against feminism because it's bullcrap. There's a backlash against child support and family court because the court system doesn't care about finances for children. They care about their Title 4D money. If it was about finances for children, we would make sure the money got to the kids. We send the money to a custodial parent. Both parents have a financial obligation to the child. Do you know that? When you look at an order of child support or child support worksheets that lead to the order, they break down what your income. Let's say here's a father and a mother column. Just pretend that there's a column. Here's a dad and a mother. Dad makes this much. This comes out of his check. Here's his net income. Here's his child support obligation. Mom makes this much. Her net income. Here's her child support obligation. She has a child support obligation, and he does. And whoever gets custody, they send their obligation over to that house. It's an insane concept that's outdated, like slavery or Jim Crow or making sure women are barefoot and pregnant. It's outdated. It's to transfer money to a parent when the father leaves the home and abandons the family. That's the whole reason that it even came about. Supposedly that's what it was sold on. But it's all about extracting money from families so the government can get Title 4D money and all kinds of other stuff. If you're incapable of providing for a child, you should just give custody to the dad. Problem solved. Because men usually don't need child support from mothers. Why are we we transfer everything over to the mother. Alimony, child support. I'm going to pay for your attorney. I have to provide insurance. So the dad's doing all of the providing of everything the child needs except for physical time and presence, which is the most important thing. The fact that JD Milo believes in the system and he's bashing dads for not paying child support, he's bashing dads for not doing something unconstitutional. Or he's backlashing against the Constitution. He would be out there protesting, what are you black folks doing in white folks' schools? Because they should stay in their lane because we have Jim Crow laws that violate the Constitution. And, he doesn't like equality. They didn't like equality in Jim Crow South, even though the Constitution says they're equal. Our Constitution says the parents are equal. But JD Milo doesn't like men and fathers. This is why I saw a guy who has, about 60 to, I think it's 70% of psychologists, secular psychologists, have a success rate in helping dudes out of the lifestyle who want to seek psychological help for getting out of the lifestyle of guys liking other guys. There's this guy who has this Christian ministry. He used to like guys. And he said a lot of people think, guys who turn to that lifestyle is because they're on drugs or because they were violated when they were younger. He said the number one common denominator he's seen with guys who like guys is they lacked fatherly affirmation growing up, or the father was absent. That's why you see JD is feminine. But he's also defending his mother, and what's really going on is now that there's a backlash against feminism and child support, and people are waking up to how crazy and unconstitutional it is. And the idea of, women could just decide to have a kid out of wedlock, and then she could keep the kid if she wants, or she can get rid of the kid, but the dad has no say-so, but that he has to act like he cares when it comes to the finances, because all we care about is money. We don't care about the most important thing, love. And there's no human in the world that would say, oh, finances are way more important than love. If the finances are that important, why don't we just place the child with the parent who has the finances? Why don't we give the dad the first right of refusal option to have full custody? We just automatically give custody to mothers. The dad's doing all the provision of everything else. Nobody even thinks about that. It kind of really hit me kind of hard today that, you're providing for the child in every way possible except being there, which is the most important thing. And all society's crying out for dads to be there, and the court's ordered dad can't be there. And JAYDEE Milo is saying, you mother efforts who don't pay up and all this other stuff. He's not crying out for the greatest need, which was void in his life, was an absent father. But there's a backlash against all this stuff and feminism. And JD's every whine, cry, piss, and moan and venting, and every video he does is a backlash against the backlash. He's defending the feminists just like if he was a triggered female feminist, which is pretty much what he is. He's a perverted version of a man. He's a female feminist who's backlashing against the backlash against feminism. Most women aren't buying it. And so this Heather Bliss lady, I watch JAYDEE Milo off and on. Every once in a while he popped up in my feed. I'm like, this guy's crazy. And then he said, my mom had to struggle through addiction and the disease of addiction and mental health issues, and she overcame it. No, she's a psychotic drug addict loser that had a kid either out of wedlock or divorce, and she failed at that relationship. And if your dad was really a deadbeat absent dad, I'm sorry, that sucks. But that's life. If you don't do it God's way or the right way or nature's way, you have utter chaos. And he's complaining, we have chaos going on, and it's 100% my dad's fault and nothing to do with my mom. And his mom's a mentally ill drug addict. You don't think she had some part in it? So this Heather Bliss lady was going off and say, JAYDEE Milo is going off on men and blah, 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 blah. And his mom was a heroin addict, which means she's super duper crazy. So he's the product of probably a heroin booty call. And so he's going to blame his dad? I mean, I don't know. He won't tell us exactly what's going on. But he's going to blame his dad for not being there with the mom who was a heroin addict? Why don't he go looking for his dad? Why doesn't he blame the mother and she have some accountability for having a kid out of wedlock or however she did it? So, and then Heather says, and she implies that JD was a drug addict and he doesn't deny it. So he became a drug addict. So JD wants to blame somebody for all of his own family's dysfunction. His mother was a heroin crack addict, HORE. And he's mad that there's dysfunction out of that? How come he doesn't just come to grips with, my parents were chaotic, or maybe his dad was a drug addict, they had a heroin booty call, and I'm the product of it, and go get some therapy for yourself. Go get some help for yourself. Instead, he's venting on every other dad out there without knowing anything about a dad's story. And see, I'm talking about JAYDEE Milo and his story that he confessed to, and that this Heather Bliss lady is accusing him of, that he didn't deny. And I'm going off all this stuff. He's backlashing now that people are waking up to how full of crap women are, and he hates his dad so much, and he wants to hate. And then he admits in the video, responding to this Heather Bliss, I'll probably do another video with that one. But if you guys go on JAYDEE Milo's page, look at the response to Heather Bliss. He's saying, yeah, this is part of my therapy. This is part of my backlashing against my dad or my absent father, something like that. I'm not quoting him exactly. So really, this guy is backlashing against, how dare you guys speak against single moms, because my mom struggled through her heroin addiction and mental illness. She didn't struggle. She was an idiot. She was a dysfunctional weirdo. And he's saying how well she overcame. And he's like, well, my mother said you're always loved. Of course she's going to say that. Mothers are naturally nurturing, so they'll do stuff like that. But you know what dads are? They're naturally protecting. He would have protected you from any of those dudes who ran through your house who might have touched you or done whatever happened to you when you were younger. Something happened to him he's not confessing, probably, is my guess. And I'll call it a guess because it is a guess. I'm not going to be dishonest. But this guy he has so much hurt inside. He's venting against all men and accusing all, just like a woman who was raped or molested when she's younger. She hates all men, doesn't trust all men, and most men are good. If most men weren't good, we would have a bunch of rapists running around society, going around and just, like in the days of Noah, everybody's just raping everybody, or Sodom and Gomorrah. It's because of strong, protective men who hate abuse, that rare, abusive criminal, that society is safe. So JAYDEE Milo's full of shit.